The further you can get further with a kind word and a gun than you can with just a kind word alone. This was said by the character Al Capone, played by Robert De Niro, in the movie The Untouchables. And for those of you who do not know, Al Capone's a thug back in the day who used a lot of scare tactics, force, to pretty much run a ring of crime across the country, where he ran illegal gambling. He was a big-time bootlegger, and he just made a whole bunch of money, but he was a thug. So essentially, what he's saying is sometimes just a kind word alone won't get you where you want to be. Sometimes you got to be a little forceful with what you want. And this does ring true in a lot of standpoints in life. For example, oddly enough, the first thing that came to mind when I heard this was guys with women. You know, sometimes you're at a party and you're hanging out with girls, like, man, that's a really cute girl over there, right? But here's your problem. Sometimes you just end up coming on, oh, you know, you look really nice today. And she's like, oh, thank you, he's a really nice friend. And every guy in here just goes, oh, man. So sometimes, you know, after you hit him with the comment, you just backhand him. You hit him, not literally, but you hit him with, you know, the force. You know, you got to be assertive. Not literally backhand him. That came out a little rough. I'm sorry. But, you know, you come at him, you know, force. Be assertive. You know, and instead of the social part, you know, in life, sometimes, you know, you're going after stuff, and sometimes being the nice guy isn't always the way to go. You know, you find yourself in situations where you're just a nice guy and you just kind of get left behind, instead of that, you know, you have that assertive friend who just kind of pounds his way through life and gets maybe somewhere further than you. So, again, in my life, this has also been kind of like a trend, because I've always been like a really passive, like a passive teammate, like on baseball. I'm not the most, you know, like, boisterous or really forceful. I just play. But through my college career, I found out you can't always get through your sport by just being the guy. Like, you just can't be a guy on the side. Sometimes you got to go and fight. And, you know, in high school, you're always taught, hey, the coach is the coach, and that's that. But once you kind of reach the college level, you're at a point where, you know, you're almost equals, and you can talk to him man to man. So sometimes you got to be like, hey, coach, you know, what's the deal? You know, I've been doing my part. Why aren't you doing yours? So that's kind of situations that you run into where force and a compliment is a lot better than just a compliment alone, where you're just a nice guy. And, you know, so if you ever find yourself in a point where, man, you know, I'm doing the right things, I'm being the good guy, you know, I'm trying to be that classy citizen person, sometimes you might want to flip the switch and just become that, you know, assertive, mean, Al Capone thug with a gun and go after what you want sometimes. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, for the guys, hey, don't get stuck in the friend zone. And for everybody else, sometimes you got to go out in life and grab things that you really want. Thank you. Hey, you were good. Whack! Okay, 5 stars that. 1 million views. Guy talks about backhanding girls. Girls get offended.
Quote of the day return.
Gotta go back.
Quote of the day. That was good there. That was a thank you. You set yourself up first position. Can't get a girl back in.
All right, you're using the quote as the attention device. I think that's a little iffy, but your thesis statement comes across. You've got a fairly clear point of view of where you're going. There's no preview of what the contents is going to be. You've got a good example to get you started, and then once you get going into that example, you look for some other stuff to develop, and you do okay on that. There are a couple of places where it does seem like you've got some distinct ideas there. So there's a bit of an organization, although I do think it could be clearer than you started with. Your presentation, your voice projects well. There's a lot of animation and variety in the way you're talking, and it sounds very fluid while you're speaking. Your gestures in the first part of the speech, it looked like you're going to get the topic out of your hand, then you don't, and then you finally do, and then you're not always sure what to do with your hands, and I thought that was a little bit of an issue. Your facial expressions are pretty animated. Your eye contact with the audience, when you engage the audience, you're pretty good, but you're always focusing on one part of the audience, and don't forget that the rest of us are there. And then when you're not engaged with the audience, you seem to be looking every place else, up in the corner, down at the ground, off to the side. And I thought you were better, even when you were looking at just one part of the audience, actually giving a little bit back and forth there. But like I said, that was not particularly consistent. The conclusion of the speech was pretty solid. You got to an end point that was okay, and not a lot of things that were problematic. Like I said, content issues. You recognize that maybe you'd gone a little far in talking about adding something more than that kind word to the ladies that you're meeting. Like we said, we'll see how many hits you get on YouTube.